After weeks of anticipation and a monumental cock-up at round 1 where I forgot to do pre-qualifying, we're finally racing at the 2024 Australian Formula Ford E-Series. These cars don't have any downforce and it feels like you're driving on an absolute knife edge, as you're about to see. Round 2 is at Oschersleben. It's a great little circuit in Germany. It's about 2 hours west of Berlin. We qualified better than I expected in 13th out of 29 drivers and got off to a strong start, gaining a position on Gustavo Cirillo, who got a bad launch from 10th on the grid and really had no business being this far back in the pack. You can see him getting a little impatient here, where he gives us a tap going into turn 6, and again as he lines up and move into the chicane, getting all out of shape. I think that might have thrown me a little as I run wide on the exit, then outbrake myself going into the fast turn 11, which allows Jason Depp through, followed shortly by Cirillo. At this point, I'm not aware that Sean McKenzie is flying up behind me, and then this happens.
Michael Cullen, meanwhile, having to protect the inside here. He's got Gustavo Cirillo with him, and there's a coming together coming into the final turn. Cullen is sent off. Sean McKenzie also off the circuit as well. And there's another crash that's happened right in front of them. That sent Matthew Becker out into the gravel trap.
We rejoined the race in 27th place with a lot of work to do. One spot's gifted back to us almost immediately by Matthew Becker, who himself had been taken out on that same corner. We get 2 more back when Mark Bowman and Steve Cassides collide. Then Tristan Yellen loses it on the tricky triple left-hander, but we have to take avoiding action over the gravel trap, which allows Bakir back through. Daniel Boswell and Jason Depp have a big coming together, which leaves Boswell stranded on the side of the track, waiting for an opportunity to rejoin safely. Moments later, Scott Jordison has a horrendous crash in turn 1, leaving a destroyed Formula Ford sitting on the middle of the circuit, and that brings out the safety car. This is an absolute lifeline for us. Only the top 15 drivers score championship points, and we're about 13 seconds behind 15th place right now. That safety car brings the whole field back together, which cuts the gap down to about 4 seconds. Now we're in with a good shot of scoring our first points of the season. So the race restarts on lap 4 and we're right on the back of Bakir. Then Jason Depp loses it and 3 cars narrowly avoid disaster as we're gifted another place. We take the risk of passing into the triple left on Michael Gillespie, but now we've lost touch with Bakir ahead. Then on lap 6, the stewards advise that we've been hit with a 5-second penalty.
2-7 on lap 1 causing incident.
At this point in the race, that penalty is going to drop us all the way back to 26th, extinguishing any hopes to score points. But the very next lap, Dean Williams takes himself out at the triple left, and now we're 20th on track. David Riviere comes under attack and has to completely compromise his run through the chicane onto the back straight. There's this concertina effect here as Lam Nguyen and Bakir have to brake to avoid running into the back of Riviere, and that's helping us out massively. We get a nice bit of slipstream off the back of Riviere's car, and now we're up to 19th. But we just don't have the pace to challenge the drivers ahead of us. Meanwhile, Williams behind has made a huge recovery and is coming in like a missile behind us into turn 1. He goes through and I do my best to stick with him so we can benefit from the draft. Joshua Holton and Adrian Gretsch become the latest victims of turn 11 in separate incidents. Holton recovers, but we take 19th from Gretsch. Then Ben Faulkner loses control in spectacular fashion, hitting the wall whilst fighting for a top 3 position. That gives us 18th place. Holton inexplicably retires, so we briefly move up to 17th before a double attack from Boswell and Riviere into turn 1 pushes us back to 19th. But then Boswell loses it. With that 5-second penalty hanging over us, we're doing everything we can to build a gap to Ronald Long behind us. But he finishes within 4.2 seconds, so we get bumped down to 19th place. However, the post-race appeal sees our penalty get overturned. See, the general rule of thumb in racing is that you have to leave a space for another driver if they're significantly alongside your car. In this instance, we had the right to move back to the racing line, and the stewards flipped the penalty to McKenzie in the greatest Uno reverse of my racing career to date. No hard feelings, Sean, if you're watching this. At the end of the day, we didn't score any points, but hey, maybe the real championship points are the friends we made along the way.